Hi, Rockstars. This is Beth Azor. I wrote a book called the Retail Leasing Playbook. This podcast will go over a few chapters each week to discuss the highlights of how you can lower your vacancy and increase your occupancy. I hope you enjoy it. Today we are on chapter 64, and the title is Finding the Right Person for the Big Fish. As you know, if you listen to this in chronological order, we're talking about the nationals here and how hard it is to get their attention. You by now have heard that the more research you do and the more information you can send in your email to them, for example, a map with their locations, their competitors' locations, and even some Placer AI or mobile data information, will definitely get them to give you a call back. It's worked for me lots and lots of times, but I, in the beginning, also had the same problem that you did, getting them to call back. So creating relationships with them, visiting them when you are in their markets, in their cities where they live, where they office, will help immensely creating the relationships. But a lot of times people ask me, especially on social media, especially newbies, how do we find the right information for them? And this chapter talks about the 7 ways that I use to get the information. So I think ICSC and LinkedIn are probably the best, most up-to-date current information, because when a retailer leaves one job for another, they typically almost always update their LinkedIn and they update their ICSE. So I would start with those two. I reference the Retail Lease Track. Sometimes those are outdated. Stacy Mooney, who has these conferences called Retail Live, she gives books at the conference, but I also believe now she has an online version of the books. I'm not sure how updated those are. That's why I mentioned ICSE and LinkedIn, because that's incumbent upon those individuals to keep those things updated themselves, versus Retail Lease Track and Retail Live. Those are third-party organizations that hire people to keep those updated, and that's why they're a little behind. Probably the easiest thing, and the one that's most overlooked that I find that many people don't do, is just call the company, right? If you want to find out who is the real estate manager for Home Depot, you call Home Depot in Atlanta, or you go to their website and see if they list the head of real estate, and then either reach out to them from the information on the website or call and ask the gatekeeper. Now, that is certainly changed over the years, where now we can get lost in voicemail or mailbox hell. So that doesn't always work, but it is an option. And then industry peers. We have in South Florida, we have a Facebook group that has, I think, 1,000 landlords and brokers on it by now. I think they started about 5-6 years ago, so it's grown immensely. And there's a search component of that website. So whenever I'm looking for a new retailer that I don't know who reps them as the broker or who the manager is, I will go to that Facebook page and I will search the name of the retailer and see if it pops up. And if it does, I get the information and I'll confirm if they're still the broker or the manager. And then I'll post it in the Facebook page, hey, who knows who represents, ABC retailer? And usually someone in that group has the information and will post it back. So that is Finding the Right Person for the Big Fish, Chapter 64. Have a great week. Thank you for listening to this week's podcast. I hope you learned a few nuggets to help increase occupancy and lower vacancy. See you next week, where we'll go over a few more chapters of my book, The Retail Leasing Playbook.